Tonight on Squirm Gear, I get trapped in eternal torment by anime girl. Jova hunts down vampires in the Czech Republic. And Dwibs force a Cyberman invasion in London.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the sequel to Ridge Racer 2 for the PSP.
Released in 2006. Wait a minute.
I think this is another Namco old arcade game, but I don't recognize it.
Yeah, I've forgotten the name of it myself.
It's still cute.
Fun fact, when I downloaded this game to be a playthrough, I downloaded it thinking it was the PS1 sequel to the first game. Turns out this is actually a sequel to the first PSP game in the series.
So Namco, for some reason, when it came to the backward compatibility program, did not release the first PSP game, just this one. From what I understand, it's mostly because it's a situation where the second game has the content of the first one and just more, so they probably just, for convenience sake, just had this. But it still feels very weird.
So let me see if I get this straight, essentially. This is a sequel to the PSP game, and they named the PSP games Ridge Racer and Ridge Racer 2, just like the original Ridge Racer and Ridge Racer 2.
Why couldn't they just call it Ridge Racer Portable? Like Monster
or hell,
Hunter,
if you really
like that.
This is basically Pac-Man, but with cars.
Okay, where's the equivalent of the ghost chasing you?
The other cars, I guess.
The other cars.
I guess those yellow dots on the...
Yeah, well, those are
map.
supposed to be the flags that you collect. The red dot is the other car, I think.
Oh, so there's only one chasing you.
And also obstacles.
Kind of weird that they made you a yellow moving dot when you're collecting other yellow dots.
Okay. To be honest, when I hear the click, I keep thinking they're gonna start Rob DMC's It's Tricky.
Bye, Reiko. Bye, Reiko.
Hello again, Reiko.
What the fuck is she even doing? Is she shooting a perfume commercial? Then again, even car commercial tends to get on the abstract side sometimes.
Oh god, don't even get me started on the car commercials that somehow linked themselves to Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, I have a dream to get this new, monster of a vehicle. Anyway, Ridge Racer 2, 2006.
They could have even done at least what Mega Man X did and turned the numbers into Roman numerals.
Yeah, that could have helped with the, naming confusion. So weird.
Like, what was the idea here? Like, was nostalgia the idea? Are these PSP games like little remakes of the OG Ridge Racer and Ridge Racer 2?
They're their own games.
Well, from what I understand, this one contains a sort of a best-of in terms of tracks and music tracks from the previous games.
God. Congratulations, a more confusing naming system than Kingdom Hearts. Let's name our handhelds Ridge Racer 2, and Onward.
I'm gonna one-up that, Jova. Go for the portable GBA Rayman games, because there's a version of Rayman 3 on the GBA that instead has the plot of Rayman 2.
New Rally X, that's the name of the game.
Okay.
How weird. And how crazy.
Mm-hmm. On the plus side, the GBA Raving Rabbids has the plot of the original, game before it was discarded, so if you want to experience that, you can play that version.
But yeah, I'll be showing off each of these levels minus the multiplayer and time attack during the course of these two parts.
I also love that some of these icons seems to be way more hardcore than they appear to be, like the dual one with the two knives.
Yeah.
This voice reminds me of the narrator you get when in the main menu of SSX Tricky.
So, Dwibs, I'm guessing the reason we skipped ahead to this was a bout of accessibility with what games you had on hand?
Like I said, from what I understand, this game includes the content of the first portable, PSP Ridge Racer game, so we're not really losing much, but it still kind of feels odd that it didn't just, release both of them. Again,
I wonder what we'll be missing also with the...
It was up to Namco Bandai in this case to authorize that, so Sony has no real, stakes on it.
The world is yours. I'm not Tony Montana, thank you.
Also, the name of
Squirmy.
it Squirmy, okay?
Lovely.
Adding a Y at the end is funnier.
That's my question. Why?
I'm curious if we'll be checking out like the original Ridge Racer 2.
Your first progress report, because you haven't started yet, you haven't done anything.
Also, Jovan, no, we haven't re-released it yet, so not for the time being.
What a weird releasing cycle.
Again, it's up to Namco.
Fair enough. So, does Ridge Racer 2 2006 version have a story campaign of sorts?
Race.
Yeah, it doesn't. Again, Type 4 was kind of the exception of having, more robust story mode. Some other games, like you said, like the Nintendo DS games, seem to have something like that, but it wasn't really a prerogative of the franchise. Again, it's kind of like Gran Turismo.
I guess it's like, this was definitely in the day and age where story in games, even racing games, was being more emphasized. So
also remember, this was a game for the PSP, so definitely want to pick up and play, case of just do a quick match, then, set off the PSP later.
There's only really the Forza series, and but hey, you can actually choose what track you want, either some of the newer ones, or like what I'm going to be doing, playing old Ridge Racer Type 4 tracks.
Yeah. If I recall correctly,
nostalgia for Type 4, eh?
And if I recall correctly, some of the actual racing tracks are also from the older games. Like this one is from the first game, if I recall correctly.
So I'm guessing this game had an online feature function?
Yeah.
Which, of course, these days it's not very practical.
Mm-hmm. I will say, of course, part of this might be remastering it for console, but as per usual, a game from the PSP was not too shabby looking for a handheld
keep in mind,
game.
This is just the upscaled version that the emulator on the PS5 is actually having. It is impressive that even the original game was managing to running at 60 FPS, so...
Yeah, one thing I'll mention right now, I really, really do not like this narrator.
Who's he voiced by?
His voice is annoying and he never shuts the hell up.
So who is he voiced by?
I'll find out.
Also, I love that, yes, your icon in relation to the other players is represented by that old arcade game. That's really cute.
James C. Mathis III.
I might have heard that name before.
I feel like I've heard that name somewhere.
Well, more recently he was in God of War Sons of Sparta as Konstantinos. He's also been Black Panther in a few bits of media.
Huh.
Right, that might be where I've heard of him from.
And in case you're wondering, the female voice is provided by Valeria Rem, who co-runs the voice recording company that did this game alongside her husband Keith.
Ah, that's right, Tio. James was Sigint from Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, I see. He was also the General Fried Chicken announcer and undercover brother.
Again, the original on the PSP probably just had every polygon that you see, like the ones on the road and even your car, being more jagged, lots more of less defined borders, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. So the only thing that the emulator had to do was just to be uncompressed. So,
but yeah, I'll say that the drifting in this, the driving in this game feels pretty weird. It's pretty stiff when you're driving. I'm not sure if that's to do with the original analog stick, but when you start drifting, it's really loose.
He was also apparently the announcer in Ridge Racer DS, so this makes sense. Like, okay, I'll be honest.
Although it is a bit easy to stop them before. Also, you get nitrous oxide because this game apparently thinks it's
Fast and
burnout
Furious.
now.
Yes, Joe.
Or Need for Speed.
I don't find his voice really that annoying. Like, as far as announcers go, he seems to speak as frequently as just about any announcer would.
I mean, not as in the previous games, like the original. Also, Dwibs, can you... Jesus Christ, you're gonna make me seasick with that driving.
This guy ain't helping.
Walk
So
for
tell
the
me,
for the fans, Dwibs. Too fast, too fast.
Come on, Dwibs, remember, turn left to go right, turn right to go left with the power sliding. Do it with gusto and grace, and you can be in first place.
What happened to whoever said that?
Doc Hudson, he died. But he died a hero.
Yeah, and he ended up crashing his car and retired.
He is a car, actually.
He crashed himself.
Well, okay, going off of Cars 2, it seems like he just died peacefully. Mind you, I don't think the world has truly elucidated yet how death, well, aside from being murdered in cold blood, works for the Cars and Cars universe.
Oh, God.
Oh. Starting to get the hang of the steering here, Dwibs.
A little bit, yeah.
I usually dread PSP games that loved to use the analog stick because I mentioned in the past that I broke the damn thing a couple of times. One time with Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, and another with the PSP version of Star Wars The Force Unleashed.
Like I've admitted before, I never really owned a PSP. I got to play on a few every now and then, but I never really owned it. So
it was really perfect as an emulation machine, and especially good for RPGs because thanks to the pick up and go functionality, it was kind of the prototype of what you think of like for the Nintendo Switch.
But I'm guessing it was kind of a device that you didn't want to be too rough with, especially on the analog stick.
So yeah, like in Type 4, you have to finish in a certain place to qualify.
Yeah, the narration said that, yes. I think this track actually was from Type 4.
Well, the music track was.
But also the racing track reminds me, the one with the church and everything.
I do find it weird that they would have less story here, especially in a game in 2006 than one made back for the PlayStation.
Again, it's not too surprising because remember, Jova, the story modes for these games in particular, specifically more realistic car racing, have been just more the exception than the rule. Like, I think, did the Burnout games had story campaigns? I know that Need for Speed had them, yes.
I feel like at least one did, but don't quote me on that.
You get what I mean. Gran Turismo never had them as far as I know.
Gran Turismo kinda sorta had them. It was a campaign mode. It's sorta kinda of your story mode, sorta kinda not.
For example, has lore technically for its setting, but all of that is stuff in the manual or, flavor text.
Question actually. Have you guys played the Juiced games?
No.
I've heard of those. Never got around to playing them.
Bothered.
They're sort of like Need for Speed Light to an extent. Although, okay, to be fair, it has done slightly different mechanics. I have played the first game. And that game has a campaign mode of sorts where you race, and depending on how well you do and how you treat the other racers, your respect can either go down or up. That will allow you to either. Just from at best race them at all to letting them have pig slip races so you can bet one car against another.
And also, one of those games did have the infamous commercial where two guys use the, controller to strip a woman naked, almost naked, and brand the Jewish logo on her butt cheek. Very classic.
And also apparently toggle and make her proportions bigger because car customization.
Very clever. Truly.
Lord, commercials could be wild back then. I mean, they still can be for the Super Bowl, but like, you know.
True, but
Wow.
these days a lot of them lack bite for the better sometimes because you know, like I just said, that Jewish commercial really was just why would you do that? But many others try to do for the whole nonsense factor and make them memorable, like Kadikaru said. But these days, only a few of them really do stick out. Most of them tend to, for example, for video games, most of them tend to focus mostly about either showcasing a CG cinematic of what the game is about, or actually showcasing gameplay footage, or just copy-paste one of the cutscenes from the story. Like, for example, that trailer that you got at the Game Awards last year about the new Divinity, that is basically just a lore cutscenes that showcase people having an orgy and sacrificing someone, and then everyone dies and becomes the fucked up monument. But that's
Okay, maybe I can shake them off if you let me concentrate.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest, Dwibs, that might be a bit of a skill issue. Like, he speaks every now and then. Like, not that frequently. Like, by that logic, you'd be distracted by boss banter in a Crash Team Racing game.
Or I think, Dwibs, you'll be one of those gaming journalists that got super baited by Devil May Cry 5, because in that game, the music, the soundtrack becomes better the better you perform in combat. So there was prime game journalist bait, and PC Gamer took, everything hook, line, and sinker.
What did they say? The music sucked.
Yes, because they couldn't actually perform well in the game. Amazing.
Yeah. I swear, maybe I could make a mint as a competent game reviewer at this point, because holy cow, the bar that has to be lowered for some gaming journalists these days.
Can you toggle that bit? Can you toggle that on and off?
Not that I know. From what I understand, maybe it lives in easy mode, it's more of a guaranteed because ranking up combos would, the combo meter would be more stable. But again, I haven't tested yet.
We said ranking cap god.
God.
Come on,
to
babe,
say
you're
nothing
close.
of the... Oh my, might he actually do it?
Yeah, but I've got one more lap left.
Okay, victory might be within your grasp for this race.
Don't jinx it.
I've got 6 seconds to make up.
But yeah, no, regarding stuff like the Juice commercial, or shoot, even, again, let's just be down bad and say the sexy visuals that they plaster for Ridge Racer games, part of me just wonder, where is that weird niche that apparently sex sells well for a racing game of all things? Like, are there some people who legit think that they'll be getting a sexy racing game?
There's a lot that can be said about people wanting a very powerful car in order to compensate for something, so...
To be honest, I never even saw that advert when I was younger, around the time the game was out. I just got the game because, car game, cool.
Might have been a commercial.
I ran into that advert on YouTube.
It might have been a commercial for a specific country like the US or Australia, at least, for all we know. Some countries might have preemptively censored commercials before they arrive there. I was unfortunate enough to get that infamous Line to Short Play Xbox commercial right as I was going to see Spider-Man 1 in theaters. I was like,
oh my goodness,
I think like 10 at the time at tops, so I kind of had to ask my parents what the fuck was going on, and they told me, it's for a gaming console.
Are you referring to that one where the woman gives birth?
Yes, and the child grows while mid-flight and then toddles into a coffin.
Yeah, that advert was on RTV all the time.
It was eventually banned, but it did stay for quite a bit.
Also, am I the only one who noticed that the helicopter crashed into a wall while flying overhead?
It's fine, don't worry about it.
Is that supposed to happen?
It's okay, so we're parachutes, Drova.
It couldn't handle that I'm winning.
Also, to go back to what we were mentioning before about the upscale texture, you can kind of still tell that the original polygonal model, is not super defined for the hyper light or hyper light, writing on the back, because as you can see, it's loaded with Dwibs.
Ow. That's how I celebrate winning the race.
Just
by wrecking your car?
Destroying the left part, yes.
Well, I've been banging into other cars anyway, so...
You're gonna cost your company more money than they make by winning the race.
Dwibs,
They
stop.
make more money than God.
Dwibs, stop banging the others from behind, please.
Funny. But yeah, next race. Where have I got to finish this time?
3, 2, 1, go! Good. Let's keep this up.
I'm definitely
Oh,
noticing a
first. Oh
recurring.
boy.
Good
I am
luck.
definitely noticing a recurring nature with a lot of the tracks we've seen in our Ridge Racer playthroughs so far.
Gone.
Maybe it's just a coincidence, or maybe it's intentional that we keep seeing a lot of these same tracks into. And I'll admit, we've technically seen like just a few games spread across this series, but I do find it funny that I feel like at this point I can memorize these track layouts based off of the games that we've commentated on.
There's also something that can be said about how iconic they might be. You know, when it comes to racing games of this kind, it's more of a case that, again, some tracks are even based on specific tracks from real-world locations. And they, you know, as a result, become iconic in their own right, even if they are maybe on the more simple side. I can respect
believe that.
uh,
Shoot, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is basically built off of a best of series for a good chunk
but
of its
remember what
tracks.
I said. The big difference between a game like this and a kart racer is because by its own, inherent nature, the kart racer is more wacky, or it's based on an existing franchise, so it has a lot more going on, even on its visual designs for the tracks. While instead of more quote-unquote realistic one like this one tends to need to be more grounded even in its showcase, hence why also there aren't many, wacky type of obstacles. It's more of a case of just using the curve in a specific manner. And, what kind of panorama will you get?
Okay. When I first heard this bit of the song, I was like, is this a reference to that little bit of that Satellaview game song?
I don't know.
Also, boy, that track map looks a little phallic.
But yeah, no, honestly, to me it looks like a dog whose neck is on weird.
The house with the cock in his walls.
Okay. I do get what you mean, Tio. What I'm comparing them to, though, is basically just track mentality, which I feel that's enough similar between these two in the sense that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has a lot of returning tracks and layouts and whatnot, essentially. Whereas this seems to be the case with Ridge Racer, where, again, admittedly, we're going off of like 3 or 4 games we've looked at so far, but I have noticed either similar or recurring tracks outright between them, essentially. And maybe it's like you said, that some of these tracks are considered super iconic. I'll admit, I've been aware of Ridge Racer. I've never really checked out the fan base trajectories, though.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's probably also for, not necessarily for that, but might have been a potential factor on why the series eventually died in the early 2010s. Again, the last major games released were one for the PS3 and Xbox 360, if I recall correctly, and one for the PS Vita. After that, silence.
Oh god, imagine it died with the Vita.
Sideways?
I was just correcting the rate today. Said I was in second place, but I'm actually in first.
I guess he registered that, while you were actually switching to position. But
let's see if you can keep first place.
Like I said, if Ace Combat can come back from the dead and continue, and to an extent also Armored Core, I am positive eventually we might see a new Ridge Racer. It's more of a case where these more realistic kind of, racing car games are now more of a rarity. Yes, Gran Turismo 7 happened for Sony with its ups and downs, and there are stuff that Codemasters do, on their own, not to mention stuff like Assetto Corsa, for example. But they're really not considered as big as they were, in previous console generations.
I think part of the dealio is like, well, realistic racing games, they're more niche. That's not to say there's not a market for them, but it's kind of like the hero shooter between Marvel Rivals and Overwatch, essentially. You've got, like, the big top dogs, and it's insanely daunting to really do anything else because people just aren't as interested in them these days.
Also, it is amazing that EA possesses still technically today not one but 2, more type of more realistic racing, Burnout and Need for Speed, and both of them are dead.
Oh wow, an IP under EA turned out dead.
Oh boy,
This
I've
is
got
my
a new
shock
car
face.
ready to roll.
It's blue.
The
Double D,
Hyper
double
Knight
down.
or Dine.
Walkman, Pac-Man, whatever it is.
Alright,
Cool
then.
names.
All right, join us for the next and final part where I go a bit more into the game.
See ya.
See ya.